The Weekend That Changed My Career Path, Part 1. Jack Sabella was a type cop who either had a real nose for crime or was just one of those who trouble sought out. He was a short, ruddy-complexioned Italian guy from Pennsylvania. I think he lived, breathed, and slept police work. I don't think he had a family in the area, wasn't particularly interested in women, at least I could tell, and at least when he was on the clock. He gave it 100% and then some. I believe the only couple times I was injured on the MPDC was while working with Jack, once in a fight in an underground garage in Georgetown. In fact, it might have been Georgetown Park, but I don't think the shopping mall had then opened. We were trying to arrest some drunk that resulted in quite a struggle, torn uniforms, bruises, a bad scratch to Cruiser 77, but nothing too serious. Another time, in fact, November 26, 1977, we were running through backyards of homes on 35th Street between Volta and Q, if I recall, supposedly chasing someone who had just tried to break into a patio door of a home. We were climbing over fences, walls, you name it. At one point, we came to quite a drop from one yard to the next below. I guess Jack was a little more agile than I was because he made it to the lower yard without incident. There was a metal park bench just below, and Jack said, "I'll put my weight on the seat. You step onto the back and lower yourself down." Well, I guess my weight on the bench took him by surprise, as the bench tilted backwards, and I kind of slid unexpectedly and quite ungracefully onto the bench and then onto Jack and then onto the ground. Glad he didn't have his gun drawn. The only problem was my nightstick didn't quite accompany me. It caught on the wall, slid upward through its ring, and caught me in the right eye. I had one hellacious bloodshot eye and shiner for a week. I recovered with some ice and a paper towel, that didn't last very long, that evening, and continued to work, not wanting to wimp out. We had already determined that the Prowler, if there was even one to begin with, was long gone. Beside, my on-duty injury made for good gossip at the radio station during the work week, and we received a letter of commendation from the complainant to boot. My December 7th, 1977, Fairfax County Police Department applicant mugshot clearly shows my injury. I wonder what they thought of that in Fairfax. Sergeant Ed Jones thought Jack and I worked great together. He never missed an opportunity to assign me to work with Jack when they were working the evening shift, my preferred time to volunteer. On Friday, September 17, 1977, I had already worked 8 hours with Wallace Terry from 2 to 10 p.m. The station had an early shift that provided some coverage during shift change, if I recall. I was back at the station by 10 p.m., just before the midnight shift roll call started. Sergeant Jones spotted me and asked if I was there to work the midnight shift. I replied I'd just finished a tour, but must not have looked tired or reluctant, whatever, because before I knew it, he had assigned me to work with Jack Sabella. Just for a few hours until the bars closed down, he said. What could I say? I sat through midnight's roll call and rolled out with Jack and, again, Scout 77, the same assignment I just completed with Wallace Terry. It was a pretty routine Friday evening in Georgetown. We probably wrote a slew of parking tickets. Regular cops loved having a reserve, particularly me write tickets with them because they could get an entire month's worth written in an evening. I believe each ticket book with its triple copies contained 25 tickets or summonses. So between the two of us, we could knock out 4 or 5 books a night. The Violators copy was an awful shade of pink, not to be confused with anything else, and the tickets were routinely referred to as bacon because of their color. We responded to a number of disorderly conduct calls, checked some bars, pulled some folks over for nothing too time-consuming because you don't want to get tied up on chicken shit stuff, was the refrain. The bars had all closed at 2 a.m., and I was really ready to call it quits. I said to Jack, "Why don't you take one more spin around your area and then take me back to the station? I'm beat." We drove north on Wisconsin Avenue from M Street, and he turned right on Dumbarton. That's when I spotted an open door to one of the townhouses. "Hey, there's an open door up there, Jack. We should check it out." Jack replied, "Oh, it's probably just someone having a party." No, I don't think so. I don't see anyone around, and it looks like both interior doors are open. Jack pulled the cruiser over, and I marked out on the radio to investigate an open door at 3124 Dumbarton Street. We fully expected to find a party going on. We didn't hear or see anyone. The lights were on, at least in the kitchen and the dining room, probably just someone airing out the place after a party. No one on the first floor. We didn't like the looks of this. We proceeded cautiously up the stairs towards the second floor, sort of back to back, so we could cover both downstairs and upstairs simultaneously. Halfway up the stairs, we heard a murmur or a mumble or something. Jack called out, "Police! Is anyone there?" There were more sounds, like a muffled scream. We burst up the stairs and into the middle bedroom where a young white guy was kneeling over a young girl with a knife in his hand. Without hesitating, Jack dove onto the guy, knocked him onto the floor, while I rounded the bed and piled on. The young girl jumped from the bed and fled into the front bedroom, wrapping herself in a sheet. After quite a struggle, we got the guy handcuffed, down the stairs and into our cruiser. Jack went back to attend to the victim while I got on the radio and advised of a rape in progress with apprehension and requested a supervisor, crime scene search unit, sex crimes investigator, and a wagon for transport. The young woman had stayed home while her family had gone to the beach for the weekend, and her assailant had entered through the front door, may have been left unlocked back in those days, and confronted her in her room.